next week, California lawmakers are having a hearing on two proposed laws to no longer allow transgender athletes to participate in girls' and women's sports. It's the first public debate on the issue since Governor Gavin Newsom said the issue is deeply unfair. He said that a few weeks ago on his podcast.
KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala checked back in with the governor and followed up with lawmakers today with what we can expect next week. Ash?
Lisa and Curtis, despite Governor Gavin Newsom now being on record that he thinks the issue is unfair, his office will not comment on the fact that this hearing is happening and these bills exist. So lawmakers are set to hear Assembly Bill 844, which would specifically reverse California law that right now allows trans women and girls to participate in women and girls sports for elementary school to college. They'll also consider AB 89, which would limit the change to just high school sports. Now, the hearing is set for April 1st at 9 a.m. in the Assembly's Arts, Entertainment, Sports and Tourism Committee. Both of these bills are written by Republicans, which typically that means they have a long shot at getting through California's Capitol that is dominated by Democrats. But there is recent polling on this. This one from the New York Times and Ipsos earlier this year, showing 79% of Americans do not think trans girls and women should be allowed in girls and women's sports, while 18% think it should be allowed. Another poll from Pew Research last month shows more than 2/3 of Americans support policies that would require trans athletes to compete on teams that match the gender they were assigned at birth. Now, the chairman of the committee that will hear these bills, Democratic Assemblyman Chris Ward, he is also the leader of the legislative LGBTQ caucus. We checked in with him about what we can expect with next week's hearing.
Well, obviously there's been a lot of public debate out there, but also a lot of disinformation. And so I felt like it would be appropriate that, given that my committee has actually some capacity, we have a couple of dates set, and I've got the ability and time to be able to hear so many bills. It was important to get the information right. And so a committee hearing is the opportunity for proponents and opponents to be able to state their evidence and state the case and take that public testimony. And so I'm looking forward to hearing that.
I don't want to get ahead of your hearing, but is there any just top line as we go into that hearing, any disinformation that you can dispel right now about the situation that you really want people at home to know?
Well, first of all, there's somehow magnitude of problem that is out there that is affecting Californians and rises to this level of discussion. I mean, we're talking about just a handful of individuals, if any at all, who are brave enough to even try to compete in sports to begin with, and somehow viral videos can blow that up to make it seem like this is overwhelming activity that is out there, when in reality a few individuals that are seeking their own fulfillment and the ability to be well and participate in sports are really being targeted and harassed.
Now, the author of Assembly Bill 89, the one that would just apply to high school, Assemblymember Kate Sanchez, she told me she's hopeful that by scheduling this hearing, Democrats are willing to have a real conversation about this.
I actually spoke to a few of my Democrat colleagues this morning, some of which are on the committee. Some of them feel like this is a good option for conversation, to have full and robust conversations. Others say it's a way to get back at the governor and are very frustrated that he had made a statement about fairness and having girls in girls' sports.
I mean, what do you make of the governor being unwilling to comment now at this point, now that your bill's getting a hearing?
Well, he already made a comment, right? He recently went on a podcast and made a very blanket, very clear statement about how there is an issue of fairness, and that's genuinely what we want to do with this bill. We want to talk about protecting our girls in sports in high school.
Now, we also checked in with Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas for comment. He leads the entire side of the Capitol that's going to debate this. Nothing from him yet on this. Back to you.